One, two, one, two. What's up, my beautiful people? Welcome to episode number 3. Wait. Okay, minus the intro where you got to know me. Yes, episode number 3. And we're still discussing this beautiful topic. Thank you to everybody who watched the second one. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the engagement. You guys are amazing. So before I even start, Nje, run the intro.
Why don't you let me love you, girl?
Guys, your boy Kev. They'll see it. Alrighty, so I did mention that today we'll be looking at the life of King David, and we'll be talking about a couple of things. Now, please, before somebody comes into the comment section and says, "Hey, you're not a physicist, what?" I'm not a physicist. I just found this to be intriguing. I first heard it from Dr. Myron Golden, and I started looking into it and looking into the scriptures to see how this applies in everyday life, in everything that you want to do. Is this applicable in everything? And I realized, very applicable, very, very, very applicable. So with that being said, we're going to talk about King David, and the things we're going to talk about, right, is the law of energy conservation, the law of entropy, the law of polarity, the law of inertia, and the law of momentum. And you can see how they are all like interwoven into each other and then just flow. One feeds into the other. So we're going to be looking at that with the life of David. Remember what we're talking about, right? We're talking about cost versus cost, right? We're still under this topic. So we're discussing this thing where we want to bring out the best out of you to make sure that you become the very best version of yourself by the end of this year and going forward. Now, let's go into something here. Let's go into 1 Samuel chapter 16 and look at the story of this inspiring king, King David. Should we start from verse 1? No, I think you know from verse 1, right? God speaks to Samuel and then he instructed him, when you arrive at Bethlehem and then you know he's going to get there, you must then he's going to go to Eli's house, and then when he gets there, and then he must anoint them, and then Jesse, the father of David, brought all the sons but forgot David, and then Samuel went one by one, and God said no, and Samuel said, "Hey man, don't you have another one? Because the Lord said this is the house, you know, really him hope." So, and then Jesse said, "Oh yeah, hey, there's that little rascal outside." I'm joking, that's not what he said. He said, "There's the youngest." This is verse 11. Then Samuel asked, "Are these all your sons? Or all the sons you have?" I'm still reading in the NLT, right? "There is still the youngest," Jesse replied, "but he's out in the fields watching the sheep and goats." Send for him at once," Samuel said. "We will not sit down to eat until he arrives." So they called for David, and he says he was dark and handsome. Ta-da! With beautiful eyes. Ta-da! And the Lord said, "This is the one," because he was dark and handsome. With anoint him. So David stood there among his brothers. Samuel took the flask of oil he had brought and anointed David with oil. And the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David from that day on. Now, there are a couple of things that I wrote down here regarding David, and you could say the poetry that I see between him tending to his father's business and sheep and his mind, and how he tended to his mind. I'm seeing the picture, the analogy. I'm seeing the picture right in front of me, where the same way he was so careful to tend to his father's sheep that he did not allow anything foreign to invade and take it. So much so, he killed a lion and a bear. It's the same way he tended to his mind, that nothing could invade his mind and take this blessed thing he knew about himself, this blessed thing he knew about the Lord, this blessed thing he knew about Israel. I mean, you see when he goes and he's sent to go give his brothers some refreshments. He doesn't just leave his sheep with just anybody. He finds a fit man and says, tend to these. And then when he travels and he's got his cart there, he still finds another person. His attention to his intellectual property is very key. And I'm seeing the poetry in how he did what he did with what he had. There's a movie, if you watched it, it says how you do something is how you do everything. And you can see his mindset in this thing. So he is now on the battlefront and other people have a different mindset. This is where I want to talk about energy conservation. David had a high energy output. And that's why you see he's the only king who never lost a single war. High energy output. How did he get there? It's his outlook. It's like I said, the thing that he had with his mind, protecting the IP, protecting that IP. He had that thing. Everybody at the war front was scared of Goliath. They saw a giant. David, because of his high spiritual pressure, saw a target he could not miss. He just saw an opportunity and he asked, what is attached to this opportunity? What is included in this package of defeating this guy? Because he's uncircumcised and he's unprotected. I'm circumcised and the Lord fights with me. So what are the benefits that are attached in fighting and defeating this guy? And they gave him, said, you'll be honored in the land. You'll get to marry the daughter's king. The king's daughter. So the daughter's king, the king's daughter. You will be exempt from tax. When he heard exempt from tax, he was like, please, I go kill him right now. Chop, chop. I'll kill him right now. That's the mentality he had. And you could see this thing in his letters, in his Psalms, in his instruction to his son, that entropy had not set in his mind. David always tended and made sure the garden of the Lord, which is his mind and heart, was well taken care of. He guarded it. He made sure nothing foreign invades or grows in there. Only the things that are aligned to the perfect design that God had for him was allowed to thrive there. And he knew this because, like I said, he spent time looking at this thing, making sure it's perfect, it's clean, it's always tended to. Like how he did with the sheep and the goats and the cart when he went to go see his brothers. This was his mentality. And then you see this in his writing, talking about entropy, right? Entropy simply means if you don't do something about this thing, think about a garden. If you don't tend to the garden, weeds will grow. It's a gradual decline into disorder and chaos. He did not allow his mind to gradually decline into disorder and chaos. The energy was high. The spiritual pressure was always high. Always high. Let me show you something in the Bible, and we're going to go into this thing so you can see something beautiful about David. When you go to, when you go to Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23, it says in the King James, I love it in the King James because I'm going to read something to you with regards to the Hebrew words that were used there so you can see something, right? It says, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. I want to start with the first word, keep. It means to maintain. Like I said, I saw the poetry. He maintained the garden. It says, keep your heart. He maintained the garden of the Lord, his heart, his mind. Keep your heart. The word heart is the center of everything. The center of everything. And when you look at the word issues, meaning to burst forth, where life springs forth. So it's to keep the center of everything where life springs forth. Everything about life says keep it because life comes from there. So David had that mindset. He guarded his heart. Entropy, he didn't allow it to bring up weeds. The only thing he allowed was that perfect design that he had seen from God to grow there. He allowed it to thrive. Like I said in the previous episode, if you're going to imagine anything about your life, let it be something that empowers and inspires you. David thought on these things. That's why he said to his son Solomon here, keep your heart with all diligence, because it's the center of where life comes from. Life issues from there. He understood this thing, and that's what made him remarkable. That's what made him defeat Goliath. And this is also how you can apply it in your personal life, in your studies, in your business. Keeping your mind fixed, not allowing anything to come in, anything to invade your mind, to grow there. Paul says in Romans chapter 12, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed, transfigured by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove. The word prove is dokimazo. It's similar to this one, where you keep. It's like when you go to the airport and they're scanning your bags. If they find contraband, they throw it out. David continually scanned his mind for things that did not belong there, and he put them out. He made sure that the program that was running there is the one designed by God, because there are external forces that will come in. You know, there's an African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. That's why David took so good care of the garden, the mind, because it's within. Anything outside is irrelevant. So Goliath to David was irrelevant. It was mist, vapor, nothing there. He said he's uncircumcised. Can you think the same about your life and the things that you want to achieve? Can you hold on to that dream? Can you hold on to that picture and say, I'm going to get there no matter what? We're talking about entropy, not allowing foreign things to grow there. You look at the parable of the sower. He sowed the seeds. The cares of this world choked out the seed. That's how some people think. They allow the external influence to come in. The cares of this world, they choke out that word, that inspiration, that dream, that idea, the thing that you wanted to do. You start becoming encumbered with what you see outside, and they just choke the life out of that thing. Like I said, the center, choking the life out, right? But you have to be different. If we move on to the next law, polarity, positive and negative. What did David look at? The positive. Goliath is too big to miss. The Israelites, they're negative. He's too big, he'll crush us. He had a different mindset. Too big to miss. And like I said, you can see this in David's writing. Let me show you something else. When you go to Psalms chapter 1, beautiful psalm by David. He says, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate. He puts his mind, polarity, put in your mind, day and night, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth fruit in his season. His leaf shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. I'll get to the do part. I want to show you something about these words that are here. I wrote some thoughts down. As you know, I write thoughts down so you can see something, right? Talking about polarity, I think I mentioned some of it in, I didn't specifically mention polarity, but in talking about Hebrews, looking away unto Jesus, the positive, just looking at the good things, right? The word meditate in verse 2 means to ponder, imagine, talk out loud. So polarity, like I said, has both negative and positive. What do you ponder? What do you imagine? What do you talk? It says, blessed is the man that walketh not. I'm going to show you other things as well. Blessed is the man that walketh not. Those are key Hebrew words. I want to show you something here so you can see what the words mean, so you can understand where we're going. I have a blue letter Bible, and it gives me these beautiful words. I suggest you get it. It looks, I'll show you to you. It says, blessed is the man that walketh not. That word, walk, means halak. It means to be conversant. It says that conversant with counsel, advice from people. When people advise you that this thing won't work. It says, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel. See, you're not conversant. You're not sitting there and receiving this advice from these people. from an ungodly person, nor standeth. The word standeth means it's amad. It's the Hebrew word amad. And it means to abide, to be employed. In this sense, imagine employing your mind to this advice of this person. You first walked, you were conversant. Now you employed your mind to this ungodly advice that tells you you can't do this thing. But it says the man who is blessed does not do this thing. Does not do this thing. And the word blessed means to be happy. The happy person does not do this thing. If you want to be happy, don't do this thing, right? And it says, then it goes to say, standeth in the way. I think I read the word standeth, right? And then it says, sitteth, to sit, as in to marry, to engage yourself in the seat, the population, the people who are scornful. It says, the man who is blessed does not do these things. The man who is happy does not do these things. His excitement, rather, when you go into verse 2, is in the law. He meditates, he ponders, he talks, he speaks this thing. What are you saying about your life? What do you ponder on? I mentioned we're talking about polarity, right? What do you ponder on? What are the things that fill your mind? What occupies your mind from day to day? What do you imagine when you're sitting down about your life? Is it a beautiful thing? Do you imagine your business thriving? Do you imagine your business dying? Do you imagine yourself thriving? Do you imagine yourself dying? What do you think about? What do you say about you? Because truth be told, you are your first audience. When you speak, you hear yourself. So what do you say about yourself? About the things that you want to accomplish? What do you say? Look at what David says. Here, I mentioned his mind. When you talk about polarity, he was to one side. He could only see prosperity. He could only see progress, right? And then you move on to, like I said, you go to verse 2. It talks about the meditation, pondering on this thing, day and night. What will happen? Here are the results of what will happen when you get to verse 3. He shall be planted by the rivers of water. I want to read something to you that I wrote here. Your salak, which is your pushing forward, the prospering that you get from putting your mind on the good, from removing yourself from the population that is scornful, from not walking or being conversant with them, and only meditating and putting your mind on what is good and victorious, like we spoke about in the previous video. The focus on intent, when you don't focus on distraction, when you put your mind on this thing, here's what you get. Your tzalak, your pushing forward, your breaking out and profitability of your aswa, the doeth, the things that you're doing, the things that that thing that you're busy with, that thing that you're in charge of, that thing you were given to govern, to execute and accomplish. It will be dependent on what you meditate on. Polarity. It will be heavily dependent on what you meditate on. If you are not conversant, walking in morally wrong counsel, and have your mind employed, standing in the way, manner, or custom of those who fall short, who sin, or marry or tie yourself to the seat or population, time or place of the people in derision, you will have prosperity. You will succeed. You will see these beautiful things. There will be an outflow. I like it says that you'll be in the stream and bringing forth fruit. We can tie it back to Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. I'm getting excited. I hope that I'm keeping my pace. Like I said, I am still practicing this thing, right? That's how you do it. Polarity, focusing on the right thing. You see, you not doing is also a problem. Inertia. Inertia, it's inactivity. That's what brings up entropy. It's inactivity. James says, if you just hear and you don't do, you're deceiving yourself, because you're like a man who sees himself in a mirror and then he turns and forgets what manner of man he was. You allow the thoughts of the world. You allow the world to describe who you are, forgetting the perfect design that God had for you. David never forgot the perfect design. There was no inactivity. When he got there, he gave them the food and he saw an opportunity to be active. Pardon me. He saw an opportunity. There was an immovable object standing right there. David applied the next law, momentum. The only thing, momentum can't be destroyed. For that velocity can't be destroyed. It can only be changed by an external force. But like I said, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside. David had high energy, so his momentum was fast. So much so, when he faced Goliath, and Goliath was running towards David, David ran towards Goliath, swinging the sling, momentum. He saw this target, too big to miss. High energy input. He threw the stone, high energy input. It flew, the output, it passed through Goliath's skull, and he died. Those are the laws that you can look at and apply in your life. Those are the laws. How do you think about the things that you want to do? How do you think? What's in your mind? We talk about remapping your mind. Remapping your mind. And starting, it's a practice, it's an art to think differently. Remapping your mind. You need to first guard it, like we read in our scripture. Guard the mind. Protect it. Make sure nothing foreign invades the mind. Make sure that this thing is well protected. Nothing can penetrate in here. Nothing at all. But if you let those things penetrate, it'll be a slow decline into disorder and chaos. And you'll begin to only focus on those things that are not positive, that will distract you, and that will hinder your success. You'll be inactive, and there will be no momentum. You will not move or do anything because the energy has been killed off. It's been completely destroyed. So do yourself a favor, guard your mind. There's a book that I'd urge you to get. It's called The Power of Your Mind. And if you want a copy, feel free to hit me up. I can organize you a copy. That book will revolutionize how you do what you do. You will not find yourself in a place where you feel despondent and depressed and not knowing what to do. You'll continue to thrive and succeed in every single thing because you would have found how to win. It's in here. The battle is in the mind. Fortify your mind and see yourself run faster than you've ever run before. I want to thank you once again for joining me here on Value Adder Talks with your boy Kaz. I did promise I'm going to make these things short. They're not going to be very long. Very short. But if you like this content and it brought value to your life, you know what to do. Hit the like button so we can, the algorithms can say this is good content. Drop a comment. Let's have a conversation in the comment section about what was discussed today. I hope what I said really blessed you and it added value to your life. Thank you once again for participating and watching and taking out the time. I really appreciate you. If you want to get more of these sweaters, you know what to do. I'm bringing out new designs, same writing, just new designs. It's going to be a limited edition, but I'm pretty sure that you're going to love it. So if you want any of these, hit me up and then we'll hook you up with your own sweater so we can all wear what we believe. Thank you so much for joining me here. It's your boy Kaz. I'm signing out. Sayonara.
Why don't you let me love you, girl?
Guys, it's your boy Kaz. Yo, see you next.